I work late. That's not unusual. Midnight trains are basically my second home. That night, I was exhausted in the way that makes everything feel slightly unreal, like you're watching your life through a thin layer of glass. The station was almost empty, just flickering fluorescent lights, the hum of electricity, and the echo of my own footsteps as I walked down the platform. The train arrived without a sound. No screech, no wind rush, just there. I remember thinking that was strange, but I was too tired to care. I stepped inside, and the doors closed behind me with a soft hiss that sounded more like a sigh. The car was empty. Not unusual for that hour, but the silence felt heavier than normal. No distant chatter, no music leaking from headphones, not even the low rumble I usually felt through the floor. The train started moving. That's when I realized I couldn't hear the tracks. I took a seat near the middle of the car. The lights above me flickered, not enough to go out, just enough to make shadows stretch and snap back into place. The air smelled wrong, not rotten, not chemical, old, like dust that hadn't been disturbed in years, mixed with cold metal and something faintly electrical. I checked my phone. No signal. Not even the time was updating. I told myself, underground trains lose signal all the time. Still, I kept my phone in my hand, thumb hovering over the screen, like that would help. As we passed through the first tunnel, I caught movement in the window. Not a reflection, a shadow. It slid along the glass, tall and thin, moving faster than the train itself. I turned my head, trying to catch it again, but the tunnel walls were empty concrete. I laughed under my breath. "Get it together," I muttered. My voice sounded swallowed. A few minutes passed, or maybe longer. Time felt stretched, uneven. The train didn't stop. No stations, no announcements. Just the same low, almost subtle vibration under my feet. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, careful, coming from the far end of the car. I looked up. The car was still empty. The footsteps continued anyway. Step. Pause. Step. Each one echoed slightly out of sync, like the sound was arriving late. My chest tightened. I stood up, scanning the aisle. "Hello," I called. The footsteps stopped immediately. The silence afterward was worse, thick, pressing against my ears. Then, right behind me, a breath. Warm. Close. Too close. I spun around. Nothing. But the smell was stronger now, and I noticed something I hadn't before. There were scratches on the floor, thin, dark lines running toward the door at the end of the car, like something heavy had been dragged or pulled itself across the metal. The lights flickered harder this time. When they steadied, I wasn't alone anymore. Someone sat at the far end of the car. A man. At least, he was shaped like one. He wore a dark coat, his head bowed so I couldn't see his face. His hands rested in his lap, fingers too long, knuckles bent at the wrong angles. I hadn't heard him enter. I took a step back. He lifted his head. His eyes were open, but empty, not blind, just hollow, like windows into a room with nothing inside. "You missed your stop," he said. His voice came from everywhere at once, layered and thin. "I'm going home," I replied, though my mouth felt dry. "This is my train." He smiled. No teeth, just a widening darkness where his mouth should have been. "There is no home past midnight," he said. "Only roots." The train jolted violently. The lights went out. In the darkness, I heard more footsteps. Not one set. Many. They circled me, brushing past my arms, my shoulders. Cold fingers grazed my skin. I felt nails scrape lightly along my back, as if testing how deep they could go. I ran. I sprinted toward the door at the end of the car, slamming my hand against the emergency lever. Nothing happened. Behind me, the footsteps stopped. The lights flickered back on. I was alone again, except for my reflection in the window. It was still standing in the aisle, watching me. My reflection smiled. It raised its hand, and I felt my own hand move with it, against my will. "You've been riding too long," it said, my voice perfectly copied. "You forgot to get off." The train slowed. For the first time since I boarded, it began to stop. A platform slid into view outside the windows. No signs, no lights, just darkness beyond the edge. The doors opened. Cold air poured in, carrying whispers that crawled into my ears and wrapped around my thoughts. "Final stop," the reflection said. "Step out." I screamed and threw myself backward, breaking eye contact. The doors slammed shut. The train lurched forward violently. The reflection shattered into fragments of light, dissolving into the glass. I collapsed onto the floor, gasping. When the train finally stopped again, sunlight poured in. Morning commuters filled the car, stepping around me like I was invisible. Someone asked if I was okay. I nodded, got off at my station, went home. I told myself it was exhaustion, a hallucination, stress. That was weeks ago. But now, every night, when I close my eyes, I feel the train moving, and sometimes, in the reflection of dark windows, I'm still standing in that aisle, waiting for myself to get off. The train that wasn't on the board. I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped onto the platform. It was just after midnight. The station should have been quiet, but not this quiet. No distant trains, no echo of footsteps. Even the air felt stale, like it hadn't moved in hours. The departure board flickered above me. Every destination was blank. I checked my phone. No signal, no time. Just a dark screen reflecting my own tired face. I told myself it was a system glitch. Midnight does weird things to stations like this. Maintenance hours, power saving mode, whatever excuse makes you feel better. Then a train pulled in. It didn't slow down. It didn't announce itself. It just arrived. The lights inside were on, casting long yellow reflections across the empty platform. The doors opened with a soft mechanical sigh, like it had been waiting for me specifically. I hesitated. No conductor, no passengers, no listed route. And still, I stepped inside. The doors closed behind me. The sound echoed longer than it should have. Inside, the car smelled like cold metal and dust. Old dust, the kind that settles where people don't go anymore. The seats were worn, cracked vinyl that stuck slightly to the back of my legs when I sat down. The train didn't move. I sat there listening. That's when I noticed the ticking, not loud, not rhythmic, like something tapping irregularly beneath the floor. I leaned forward, pressing my ear closer, and the sound stopped. Immediately, my stomach tightened. A moment later, the train lurched into motion. As we pulled away from the station, I watched the platform slide past the window. The lights outside stretched into long, trembling lines, then disappeared completely. We entered a tunnel. The darkness outside wasn't right. It wasn't moving like tunnel walls should. It felt thick, close. I shifted in my seat. That's when I heard footsteps. They came from the far end of the car, slow, dragging, uneven. I looked up. The car was empty. The footsteps kept coming anyway. Step, pause, step, each one closer than the last. My heart started hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. "Hello?" I said. My voice sounded small, swallowed by the space. The footsteps stopped. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the seat across from me creaked. Someone sat down. I didn't see them sit. They were just there. He wore a dark uniform, something outdated. No logo, no name tag. His cap sat low over his face, shadowing his eyes. "You're late," he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. "I didn't see this train on the board," I replied. He smiled slightly. "It doesn't show up for everyone." The lights flickered. When they steadied, I noticed something wrong with his reflection in the window behind him. It wasn't matching his movements. When he leaned forward, the reflection stayed still. I swallowed. "Where is this train going?" I asked. He tilted his head. "End of the line." The ticking beneath the floor started again, louder now, faster, like something pacing. I stood up. "I want to get off." He finally looked at me. His eyes were black, not dark, empty, like holes punched through his face. "You already did," he said. The train screeched violently and came to a sudden stop. The lights went out. In the darkness, I felt hands brush my arms. Cold, gripping, pulling. Whispers filled the car. "Stay. Sit. Don't leave the platform." I shoved forward blindly, slamming into the doors. I fumbled for the emergency release, fingers slipping over cold metal. The doors opened. I fell out onto the platform. I was back in the station, the same one I'd started in. Only now, I wasn't alone. People stood all around me, dozens of them, motionless, silent, faces pale, eyes unfocused. The train behind me was gone. An announcement crackled over the speakers. "Last call." Everyone turned their heads at once, toward me. That's when I understood. The train wasn't taking people home. It was collecting the ones who stayed too long. I ran. I didn't stop running until I saw daylight. The station is gone now, boarded up, closed for renovations. But sometimes, when I pass by late at night, I hear a train arrive, and I swear, it's waiting for me. They never announced this platform. I didn't mean to be at the station that late. My train home had been delayed, again, and by the time I reached the underground platform, it was just past midnight. The kind of hour where everything feels abandoned on purpose. The escalator behind me shut off as soon as I stepped onto the platform. Not slowed, shut off. The sudden silence hit hard. No footsteps, no voices, just the hum of the lights overhead, flickering like they were struggling to stay awake. I walked the length of the platform. No trains listed, no arrival times, just the same station name, blinking on every screen, over and over, like it was stuck. I checked my watch. It had stopped. I heard a sound behind me, a soft scraping, like shoes dragging along concrete. I turned around fast. Nothing. The platform was empty, except for a bench near the far wall. Someone was sitting there. I hadn't seen them before. A man, tall, thin. He sat perfectly still, hands folded in his lap, staring straight ahead at the tracks. I considered speaking. I didn't. Something about him felt unfinished, like he hadn't fully arrived yet. The lights flickered. When they steadied, the bench was empty, but I heard breathing now, not mine. Slow, measured, too close. A train roared into the station without warning. The wind nearly knocked me back as it screeched to a halt in front of me. The door slid open. Inside, the lights were dim, yellowed, like old photographs. I hesitated. Then the station lights behind me went out. Every single one. I stepped onto the train. The doors closed immediately. The train pulled away before I could sit down. The car was empty, but not silent. I heard movement beneath the floor, shifting, crawling. I grabbed a pole to steady myself as the train accelerated far faster than it should have. That's when I saw the writing on the wall, scratched into the metal above the seats. "Stay awake." I turned, scanning the car. More words appeared as the lights flickered. "Don't sit. Don't listen. They ask you to wait." My pulse pounded in my ears. The train slowed. A voice crackled over the speaker. "Please remain seated until the train comes to a complete stop." The voice sounded wrong, too layered, too many people speaking at once. I didn't sit. The train stopped in total darkness. The doors opened. I smelled damp concrete and old water. A platform stretched out in front of me, but it wasn't a real one. The floor dipped unevenly. The walls were too close, the ceiling too low. Figures stood along the edge. They faced away from me. All of them. Their heads began to turn. Slowly. Too slowly. I stepped back. The doors didn't close. One of the figures spoke. "You've been waiting a long time." I recognized the voice. It was mine. Hands grabbed my shoulders from behind. I screamed and twisted free, slamming my elbow into something solid and warm. It let out a sound that wasn't human. The lights flashed. Suddenly, I was back on the original platform. The station lights were on. A real train pulled in on the opposite track. Passengers stepped off, laughing, checking their phones. I collapsed onto the bench, shaking. A transit worker approached me. "You all right, sir?" I nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I think I fell asleep." He frowned. "There hasn't been a train through here since 11:40. I checked my watch. It was 12:01. Only 20 minutes had passed. I take a different route home now. Avoid that station. But sometimes, when I'm tired enough, I hear a voice over the speakers. Soft, familiar. "Please remain on the platform." And I feel something waiting beneath my feet.